Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties, Chapter 42.
The sources, they open with this sense of total societal breakdown. You get references to, displacement, suffering under forced labor, and warlords or bandits described as the tiger facing a corner.
And the serpent blocking the road.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is not a world ruled by law. It's a world ruled by reputation, by fear, and by personal influence.
That context is everything, because when the state fails, the real drama, it unfolds in the shadows and in the homes of these powerful local figures.
And our fugitive is Li Xuansui, who you'll also see in the official records as simply Li Mi.
He's a wanted man.
Oh, absolutely wanted. The term used is painted and described. So think wanted posters. He's on the run for his role in that failed uprising led by Xiongxin.
And he's racing toward what he hopes is sanctuary, the estate of his friend Shan Xiongxin in Xiongxin village.
What I find so compelling right from the start is that Li Xuansui, he's already a veteran of evasion.
Right. The sources drop this subtle but really key detail.
Yeah, that he had already been captured once before and somehow got out of it. It says he luckily had the approval of Li Zongxi, getting him out of that disaster.
So he knows how to handle official scrutiny. But tonight, the threat doesn't wear the uniform of an imperial general.
No, it wears the face of a former friend.
Yeah.
And that, in any era, is the deadliest kind of threat there is.
Right. So Li Xuansui is maybe, 30 or 40 miles from safety when he runs straight into Xiongxin?
A chance encounter. But the stakes just could not be higher.
And this isn't a stranger. This was his colleague, a former effective captain under young Xuangan. Now, Zhan is wearing a martial guard uniform, and he recognizes Liu Xuansui instantly.
The recognition is instantaneous, but the reaction is deeply calculated. Xiongxin immediately greets him, pretending to be surprised. Lord Lai, where are you going?
And he tries to draw him into what seems like a totally innocent social situation.
That famous detail, the 3 cups.
The 3 cups. He tries to lure him to a nearby inn. It sounds so friendly. Hey, let's grab a drink for old time's sake.
But Li Xuansui, who is, seasoned by experience and probably a healthy dose of paranoia at this point, he politely refuses. He keeps moving.
How high was the risk of those 3 cups?
Oh, lethal. Absolutely lethal. Xiongxin wasn't offering hospitality. He was offering a trap.
Of course.
If Li Xuansui had stopped, had those drinks, his guard would have dropped. His flight would have ended right there. His survival hinged entirely on that split-second decision to trust his gut.
And we know exactly why Zhan was so keen to lure him in. It wasn't some, sudden burst of civic duty.
Not at all. He had reformed, as they put it, after the uprising collapsed.
Yeah.
And now he's a local chief constable in Luzhu. He's climbed back into the system.
And Li Xuansui is his ladder.
That's the entire motivation. The source material is beautifully blunt about this. Xiongxin sees Li Xuansui not as a person, but as his ticket.
His ticket to what, exactly?
Upward mobility. He explicitly views the capture as the first achievement for his advancement, and then there's the massive reward money. It's just pure, unadulterated opportunism.
Okay, this is where I want to pause for a second, because tactically, this seems like a mistake from Xiongxin. He has the element of surprise. He recognizes him. Why not just arrest him right then and there?
It's a great question, and it's a classic tactical flaw that's driven by bureaucratic self-interest. If he makes an arrest outside his immediate jurisdiction, the reward and the credit, that first achievement, it might get split, or even stolen by another official.
So he needs to do it on his home turf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He needs to arrest him in a controlled environment near Luzhu with witnesses who can confirm the target was found in his area. So he thinks the smarter play is to follow him.
Wow. So he wasn't thinking about securing the prisoner. He was thinking about securing the paperwork and the bonus.
Precisely. And that delay, driven by his own greed, is the crack in the foundation that ultimately saves Li Xuansui.
So instead of acting, he hires a local contact, this Wang friend, to secretly track Li Xuansui to the village.
He thought he was building an unassailable case for himself, but really he was just buying time for his target to reach safety.
So Li Xuansui, shaken by this overly enthusiastic former friend, he pushes his pace. He gets to Xiongxin village as dusk is settling. It's quiet. The gates are shut.
And crucially, his intended host, Shan is not there.
He's absent. Which must have been a gut punch.
It must have been, but this absence is critical context for us because it immediately reveals the immense scope of Shan Jianxin's influence.
He isn't just on vacation.
No, he's actively weaving a network of anti-Sui power. We learn he's away in Ruoyang, delivering his daughter to Du Jiande, a major regional figure, and from there, he's going to Wagang to meet Zaide.
That itinerary tells you everything. He's not just some rich landowner. He's a connector, an indispensable one.
And his relationship with Zai isn't casual. They're good sworn brothers. Xiongxin has often protected or assisted Zai in the past. This is deep political capital.
So this estate is basically a staging ground for the rebellion.
That's right. Li Xuansui realizes, with some regret, that he's arrived too late to join them for this gathering for righteousness. They were literally planning the next steps.
So the man who built this fortress of influence is gone. Who's left to defend this massive political investment? And the fugitive who just showed up on the doorstep.
The fate of Li Xuansui now rests entirely on the loyalty and the competence of the internal management.
Enter Shan, the chief steward.
The steward. And he's described in such glowing terms, a man with a pure heart and courage, treated like a brother by his boss, and entrusted with everything.
He's the highest authority on the estate in this moment.
And you see that combination of purity and competence immediately. The instant Li Xuansui mentions meeting the overly enthusiastic Xiongxin.
Alarm bells.
Huge alarm bells go off for Shan. He doesn't need a detailed briefing. He just instantly thinks, if this man has trouble, the night certainly can't be slept peacefully.
That's the pivotal moment. Suspicion transforms into action, and this is the organizational genius part of the story. He doesn't wait.
He mobilizes silently and instantly, which is key. Step one is security and staging. While Li Xuansui is having his night meal, Shan moves him.
To where?
The back study, the Hao Shufeng.
Is that just a safe room? Or is there more to it?
It's more than a safe room, it's a message. The sources make a point of noting it's reserved for the owner's most intimate good friends.
Ah, so by putting him there.
By putting him there, Shan is communicating to everyone, staff, spies, whoever, that this man is not just a guest. He's a highly protected VIP, a member of the inner circle. It's a deterrent built into the architecture.
That's fascinating. It preemptively establishes his status. An attack on him is an attack on Xiongxin personally.
Precisely. And while Li Xuansui is secured, Shan moves to step two, mobilization.
And he doesn't just call the household guards.
No, he's smarter than that. He specifically asks for the key to the back gate and summons the strong laborers, the farmhands, the guys who work the fields and are likely the most physically imposing people on the entire estate.
He's calling his heavy hitters. He's turning a household staff into a visible militia.
All while Li Xuansui is just eating his meal, completely unaware of the precise danger. It's anticipatory defense.
So when Shan returns to Li Xuansui, the whole defense is already staged.
Right. He expresses his genuine worry, but the pieces are already in place.
The tension must have been unbearable. They're sitting there whispering, knowing danger is coming, and then they hear it.
The gatekeeper rushes in. Total manager. Someone is calling the door. The raid is here.
And what does Shan do?
He goes straight to the observation post, the smoke balcony. He assesses the threat instantly. 1 or 2 dozen people, 2 on horseback. This is a substantial force.
And they're official. It's the inspector and the traders on Xiongxin. This isn't just bounty hunters.
Exactly. This is official authority backed by local knowledge. If Shan handles this poorly, they are legally justified in taking Li Xuansui.
So what's his tactic?
Brilliant. He takes the offense. Phase 1, complete denial. He loudly denies that Shan knows any Li Mi and insists the household is law-abiding. He's leveraging his owner's reputation.
And Xiongxin, who already made one mistake out of greed, makes his final, fatal one. He gets cocky.
He does. He overplays his hand, insisting he saw Li Xuansui enter, that his friend tracked him. He believes his proof trumps local reputation.
A huge miscalculation.
The ultimate miscalculation of power in a chaotic system. And Shan uses that certainty against him. This is phase 2. Aggressive intimidation.
He challenges his competence.
Fiercely. If you saw him, why didn't you arrest him then? He immediately labels Xiongxin a liar, trying to frame an honorable man.
So he's not just denying the crime, he's suggesting the accuser is committing one. But the real game changer isn't the words, it's the visual.
Absolutely. The silent mobilization pays off right here. Standing behind Shan in the courtyard are those 1 or 2 dozen tall, broad-shouldered men, the laborers.
The heavy hitters.
And they're not standing passively, they're glaring angrily. The implication is crystal clear. You try to step inside, this stops being a legal matter and starts being a very bloody brawl.
Official authority just met local force, and the official authority blinked first. You have to feel for the inspector here.
Well, he's the law, but he's also a local official who has to survive in this territory long after tonight is over.
And the sources give us the crucial detail that explains why he backs down so fast.
Yes, the inspector knows Xiongxin is not to be trifled with. But more than that, Xiongxin regularly sends him favors and gifts.
Oh, wow. So we're not just talking reputation. We're talking active protection money or relationship maintenance.
The inspector is financially compromised by Xiongxin's goodwill. It's legal duty versus personal enrichment and keeping the local peace. The calculation is immediate.
And self-preserving. He can't risk alienating his benefactor or getting his men into a fight with these angry strongmen, all for some ambitious constable.
So he swiftly changes his tune, claims they only came to check clearly, and apologizes profusely for the disturbance.
The raid just dissolves. Zhan Xiongxin's ticket to advancement is ripped up right in front of him. The power of one well-connected local completely neutralized the state.
And Shan Quan secures the victory with diplomatic grace, promising the inspector that when Xiongxin returns, he'll be properly thanked. It's the perfect ending, showing respect while reinforcing his owner's power.
And Xuansui, who had been secretly listening nearby, emerges. He knows he just dodged a bullet. He thanks Shan Quan for the hard fight. It was a fight of organization and influence, not swords.
But the truly brilliant moment is Shan Quan's final caution. He's not complacent. Even as they retreat, he warns Xuansui that he fears they may yet return. The pursuit isn't over.
But the silence of the safe house is broken late by the arrival of 3 of his key allies. They're disguised, very cleverly, as traveling merchants. You've got Wang Bodang, Li Rugi, and Qi Guiwan.
And these weren't just, social calls. They were sent by Wagang from the rebel camp at Wagang. They were worried about Li Mi.
Deeply worried. They knew the owner was gone, and that made the estate vulnerable. And as soon as they arrive, Li Mi basically confirms their worst fears. He tells them an informant, a man named Zhan Xiongxin, had just stopped by with a regular patrol officer.
Okay, so the authorities have already been there once.
Yes, but this is the key detail. The patrol officer was maybe a little lenient, a bit discreet, and Zhan Xiongxin, the informant, his reaction to this leniency. Li Mi says he was full of murderous rage. The source uses the phrase manly and shocky.
Wow. That one detail is everything, isn't it?
It's everything.
It means the local authorities might have let this slide, but the informant, driven by who knows what ambition, hatred, he was so furious that he was going to escalate this himself.
Exactly. So they all knew that first patrol wasn't the attack. It was the warning shot.
So the rebels, what's their first plan?
Well, it's pretty pragmatic. They figure, okay, let's wait for dawn, have a quick meal, and then just ride as hard as we can for Wagang.
But in this kind of turmoil, the enemy always dictates the timetable.
Always. And they don't even get to finish their breakfast. The gate manager, a really critical player here, you have to remember his name, Shan Quan. He bursts in.
And he's got bad news.
The worst. He reports the unmistakable sounds of organized cavalry and infantry entering their village. It's happening.
Right now.
Right now. So Shan Quan and Wang Bodang, they rush up to the estate's watchtower, the Yanlu, to get a look. And this isn't just a handful of guys. This is a full-scale tactical operation.
How many are we talking?
They count about 30 to 40 cavalry and another 40 to 50 infantry. All arriving in coordinated teams. They're facing nearly 100 trained soldiers.
And do we know who's leading them?
We do. Zhan Xiongxin, after his little tantrum, went straight back to Luoyang. He reported directly to the prefect Qi. And the prefect, seeing how important it was to capture Li Mi, sent his second magistrate, the Yin, a man named Peng Haoshan.
Okay, and this is where the character of the bad guy becomes like a key part of the rebel strategy. This Peng Haoshan is infamous.
He is. He has a nickname, Peng Sonjia, or Peng Three Clamps.
Peng Three Clamps. That sounds absolutely terrifying. But it has a double meaning, right? That's what makes him so dangerous.
It does. The first meaning is just pure brutality. The 3 clamps refers to his favorite method of torture.
Oh, great.
He uses these 3 clamp sticks on any prisoner brought before him. It doesn't matter if they're guilty or innocent. It's just his standard procedure.
So he's a sadist. He's a brute. But the sources also say he's smart. He wasn't just some local thug.
Not at all. He was extremely well educated. The other part of that Sanjia nickname comes from him being a Sanjia Jinshi, which means he was a top-tier 3-level scholar. So you have this terrifying blend of high intellect and just absolute cold-blooded brutality. He's a formidable enemy.
And on top of all that, he was known for being exceptionally greedy. He loved profit. So if you're caught by this guy, you're not just facing execution, you're facing torture, then execution, so he can collect the huge bounty on Li Mi.
Precisely, and that also means his soldiers are highly motivated. So the enemy is numerous, motivated, and led by a man who excels at cruelty.
And Li Mi has what, maybe 20-something guys on the estate who can fight?
About 20 able-bodied men, the Xuansui.
Yeah.
They cannot win a straight-up fight. There's no way.
So Li Mi has to create an asymmetric engagement, and he has to do it instantly.
Right. And this plan, which he must have come up with in, minutes? It's a masterclass in using the environment and the enemy's own psychology against them.
So what were the components? How did it work?
It had 3 interlocking parts, and they all had to happen at the same time. Part 1 addressed their biggest problem: enemy mobility.
The horses.
The horses. Li Rugui and Qi Guoyuan take the able-bodied men out the back door. Their mission is purely tactical: wait for the chaos to start inside, and then steal every single one of the cavalry's horses.
That's brilliant. Cripple their ability to flee or pursue. If you're going to escape, you need their transportation.
Exactly. And now for the trap itself, Li Xuansui immediately turns to Shan, the estate manager.
For local knowledge.
The game changer.
Yeah.
He asks him about the residence's layout, about any hidden vulnerabilities, and he finds one. He targets 4 or 5 rooms on the western side of the property, rooms that were used for dyeing cloth.
And what was in them?
They contain these large, deep pits for holding indigo vats. They're called Dian-ji.
What a uniquely disgusting thing to weaponize. Okay, so the source says he covers these pits with thin boards and some kind of mechanical triggers and Kang-GZ. I mean, what level of engineering are we talking about here? Could they really build a complex trap that fast?
Well, it really speaks to their ingenuity. We're probably not talking about, complex spring mechanisms or anything. It was more likely pre-cut, thin wood sheets laid over the vats, maybe braced just enough to look stable, and then a simple trigger, maybe a rope or a lever, to knock out a key support beam once the floor was crowded with soldiers.
The goal wasn't sophistication. It was rapid structural failure under mass.
Precisely.
So the trap is built. But it's useless unless the enemy walks right into this specific, obscure room. That needs a decoy, a masterful one. And that job fell to Shan, the estate manager.
Shan bravery here is just central to this whole thing. The sources say he was the only one with enough courage and wit for the job. He straps on some protective gear, throws on a simple peasant's coat to look non-threatening, and then he deliberately opens the front door to face Peng Haoshan.
He just lets the infantry flood in, and Peng Haoshan sits down to interrogate him. How on earth does he direct this brutal, cynical scholar into the killing room?
He plays the part of the terrified, confused manager just perfectly. He pretends he has no idea who Li Mi really is, just that a person arrived and is now locked in a specific side room.
But here's the psychological part, right? He has to leverage their greed.
That's the key. He appeals directly to Peng Haoshan's greed and the soldiers' hunger for the reward.
He tells them they have to send the official soldiers to bind this person, or he might escape.
Exactly. He's basically shouting, the prize is in that room, but you have to be first, and you have to hurry. And knowing Peng Haoshan is focused entirely on the reward, and the soldiers want the glory, they ignore all tactical caution. They rush headlong into the rooms Shan points to.
And the execution is just immediate and visceral. A big group of 20 or 30 soldiers swarm into that western room.
And the collapse is devastating. As the weight piles onto those thin, camouflaged floorboards, the first soldiers realize their mistake. They're shouting things like, "Oh no, this floor is moving."
Too late.
Way too late. They just crash down into the deep, viscous indigo vats, and the 20 or 30 guys crowded in behind them, they fall instantly, right on top of their friends.
And these aren't just empty pits. They're full of thick dye. You're basically drowning in a vat of cold, suffocating industrial fluid.
Horrific. And while the main force is trapped and drowning, the counterattack begins. Wang Bodang and a dozen or so big guys armed with long spears and axes just burst out of hiding. The sudden reversal of power is too much for Peng Haoshan. He sees it, abandons his post, and just runs.
And his men.
Wang Bodang skewers 2 or 3 of them immediately with his spear. The chaos becomes a total rout. The remaining invaders were just paralyzed.
They'd lost their horses, half their comrades are drowning inside the house, and now they're facing these disciplined men with long spears.
The fighting was quick. Most of the remaining soldiers just surrendered on the spot.
But the leaders had to be dealt with. Let's start with the informant. Xiongxin, the guy who kicked this all off.
Right. He was guarding the back gate, probably thinking the rebels would try to flee that way.
And he ran right into Qi Guoyuan, who was in the middle of securing the horses they'd just captured.
Exactly. Qi Guoyuan comes out of this bamboo grove and immediately recognizes the treacherous Xiongxin. The informant is so startled by the charge, he just falls off his horse in fright, and Qi Guoyuan kills him instantly with his axe. A swift, decisive end.
And what about the brutal Pang Haoshan, the terrifying Pang 3 clamps?
He was found hiding in a ditch nearby. Pathetically, he's still wearing his distinct red official robes and his hat.
He didn't even try to disguise himself.
No. And Qi Guoyuan pulls him out, and in this moment that really just crystallizes the rebellion's attitude, he theatrically renames him. He shouts, "You are Pang 3 clamps. Now I rename you Pang Yudao Pang 1 axe."
Pang 1 axe?
And he cuts the scholar in half with a single strike.
That name, Pang 1 axe, that wasn't just a taunt, was it? It was a psychological marker. It was a statement. We're not just fighting back. We are defining our own justice now.
Absolutely. But the battle was only half the problem. Now they have dozens of bodies, prisoners. They have to disappear before dawn.
This is where we get into the ruthless efficiency needed to survive as an insurgent.
You cannot leave evidence. You can't leave witnesses who could confirm Lamy was ever there.
And the sources detail the cleanup with just chilling precision.
They do. The dead bodies were quickly carried to a large ditch out in the fields and covered with soil. The captured official horses, all 20 or 30 of them, were immediately stabled with the estate's own horses.
And here's the most striking, maybe the most shocking detail: the fate of the living soldiers who had surrendered.
Yeah. They couldn't be released, they couldn't be trusted, so they were tied up tightly, the source says, like Xuansi, like rice dumplings.
And then
they were also thrown into the indigo vats, the Siavadaidian Qi.
that is just a staggering level of cold-blooded necessity. They're choosing complete security, complete secrecy over any kind of moral question about killing surrendered men.
They couldn't afford it. They couldn't leave a single person alive to report what happened. It was non-negotiable.
Because if even one man survived and reported the death of Pang Haoshan, the whole area would be swarming with Sui forces by midday.
Without a doubt. So once the living and the dead were submerged, they replaced the floorboards and put large stones on top to conceal the vats completely. The scene was scrubbed clean, utterly.
So Limi knows, despite Shan Quan's incredible heroism, the estate is compromised forever.
It's burned. He tells Shan Quan they have to leave for Wagang immediately. He assures him that Shan Jiangxin's family, his wife Kui, his daughter Alien, a widowed sister-in-law, they'll all be safer there among the other rebel families.
So the escape becomes a refugee convoy.
A very well-armed one. The family and over 20 servants pack their valuables into about 8 carts. The 20 able-bodied men take up their weapons, and crucially, they now have a cavalry. They use the entire complement of over 30 captured horses.
They ride out, locking the residents behind them as if nothing happened. Limi, Wang Bodang, and Qi Guoyuan lead from the front, securing the path. Shan Quan and Li Rugi guard the rear.
They're refugees, yes, but they're highly mobile and heavily armed, and they're heading right for the heart of the rebellion at Wagang.
The sources end this whole incident with a really pragmatic, almost cynical proverb about the alliances you have to make in times like these.
Yeah, it says, although knowing they're not ideal companions, they must accompany them when the situation is urgent.
In other words, in a crisis, you take the allies you can get. Survival demands flexibility. We're following Xiongxin as he tries to leave one warlord, Du Jiande, to go join his old friends at Wagang.
And this isn't just, changing jobs. This is a massive political shift.
A huge one. He's leaving Du Jian's camp near Raiyang. We have to remember, Jiande is not some minor player.
No, not at all.
I mean, he's basically running a small state. He's got 7 or 8 counties under his control, over 100,000 troops.
100,000, wow.
And huge popular support. So Xiongxin is walking away from stability from a winning team.
That's the big question, isn't it? Why leave a successful, thriving operation? He was pretty much saying goodbye to a guaranteed future.
He was. And he gave 3 main reasons, and they tell you everything you need to know about the guy.
Oh, okay.
First, it was just pure loyalty to his origins, to the founder of the Wagang Alliance, Sarang.
His old friend.
His old friend. Second, building on that, he said Wagang was full of his heartfelt brothers. It was his chosen family,
His crew.
His crew, exactly. And the third reason, which feels maybe the most real for a warlord in a collapsing state.
Let me guess, something practical.
Fully practical.
Mm-hmm.
Geography. Wagang was just way closer to his home in Lushu, and he wanted to be able to look after his family.
When the world's falling apart, that's your number one priority. It has to be.
It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
And to his credit, Jiande got it. He understood that loyalty. And to show his gratitude, he gives Xiongxin this parting gift.
A pretty substantial gift, as I recall.
Substantial is an understatement. 2,000 to 3,000 pieces of gold.
2,000 to 3,000. In an economy that's basically ground to a halt, that is an unbelievable amount of wealth.
It's his operating budget, his insurance policy, everything.
And it turns out he needs that insurance pretty much immediately, because the second he leaves Jiande's territory, the world gets very, very dangerous.
Oh, yeah. The source paints this almost apocalyptic picture. It says the four directions were full of bandits. Villages were literally sealed shut with mud.
People just barricading themselves in.
Completely. And you couldn't find a single inn or restaurant open.
No.
Civilization had just retracted.
So he's in pure survival mode.
Day by day. Xiongxin and his small group, maybe 4 or 5 attendants, they travel 60 or 70 life.
And for context, a lie is about half a kilometer. So we're talking a long day's march, maybe 25 miles.
A long, grueling day on roads where you're constantly looking over your shoulder. By sunset, they are desperate for shelter.
So what do?
Xiongxin sends his youngest attendant, Xiuer, this kid who's maybe 17 or 18, to scout ahead. And this is where things get interesting.
This is the fateful moment.
This is it. Xiaozi finds a single, isolated homestead, but it looks well kept. You know, long embankment, willows, tiled roofs.
A sign of some stability, at least, some prosperity.
Exactly. So he knocks, and an old woman opens the gate. And here's the first twist.
Okay.
She recognizes him immediately. She says, "Oh, I heard you were doing well working for Shan Yuanwei." That's Xiongxin's title.
No way. And does he know her?
He does. He recognizes her as his waipo, his maternal grandmother or aunt.
You're kidding me. I mean, the odds of that. In the middle of nowhere, the only safe house for miles is run by your scout's relative.
You couldn't write it.
Yeah.
So, of course, Xiongxin dismounts and he meets the host, a man named Wan Dongren.
And what's Dangren's reaction?
He is just awestruck. He describes Xiongxin as majestic like a god. You can tell his reputation precedes him.
Which is everything for a rebel leader.
Absolutely. And they quickly figure out their connection. Xiongxin sees the shared surname, Wang, and asks. And Dangren confirms he's the clan brother of Wang Bodang.
Wang Bodang, one of the key figures at Wagang.
The very same.
Yeah.
The network is already there. So Xiongxin asks if he's heard anything, and Dangren gives him the intel he needs.
What's the news?
He confirms that Wang Bodang, Xuansui, and a few others have all made it to Wagang. They've joined up with Zairang.
So his path is clear. He's found this little outpost of the Wagang network. He knows he's on the right track.
He is. But the stopover is? Well, it's anything but a quiet night's rest.
Of course not.
No, because once they're inside, the elderly head of the house comes out to serve tea, and you can just see he's in absolute distress.
And he explains what's going on.
He does. And it's a crisis that came from, believe it or not, a political victory.
So.
Just a few nights earlier, Xuansui and Wang Bodang had stayed at that very house. And to seal an alliance, they had arranged a marriage between Xuansui and the elder's daughter.
A political marriage. Smart. That's one of the fastest ways to get protection in a chaotic time like this.
It is. The elder thought his family was safe. He'd hitched his wagon to the rising power of Wagang. But that security lasted for about a day. Because then the villain of the story shows up. The bandit leader, Xuan.
Okay, Xuan. He is a major, major problem.
It's a huge problem. He passed through, saw the daughter sweeping outside, and just violently demanded her.
Just took her.
Not even that. He demanded her as his Yeja Furen.
Which means?
His treasured wife. The wife of the chief. It's a massive symbolic claim. He leaves a pile of gold and says he'll be back at the start of next month to collect her.
So this is a direct challenge to Wagang. He's saying, I see your alliance, and I'm just going to take your ally's daughter as my prize.
That's exactly what he's saying. If Wagang lets this happen, their reputation as protectors is shot.
And the elder is stuck.
He's in an impossible position. He tells Xiongxin, look, if I send Dangren to Wagang to get help, that's a 7 or 8 day trip. Too long.
And they can just run.
Fleeing with a small family on those roads, that's a death sentence. They are trapped.
And this is where Shan Xiongxin, the great hero, steps in.
And he doesn't hesitate. He doesn't debate it. He sees the threat to his friend's new family, to Wagang's honor, and he just acts.
What's his plan?
Simple, swift, authoritative. He just says, we're all leaving now. I will personally escort all of you to Wagang.
Wow. He just turns his personal journey into a full-blown rescue mission.
Instantly. He goes from traveler to armed escort.
Yeah.
And you can see why these guys valued him so much.
Of course. So after this decision is made, they bring out the daughter.
They do. She's brought out to pay respects, and the source makes a point of saying how beautiful she is. Delicately beautiful and astonishing.
Highlighting what was at stake, what Xuan was trying to claim.
Right. These were real people caught in this mess. So the next morning, they're on the move. They load the women and the elder onto an ox cart.
And after a few days, they finally make it to Wagang territory.
They do. After about 3 or 4 days, Xiongxin sends scouts ahead to find out where Xuanrang and Xuansui are camped.
And the welcome wagon comes out for him?
Immediately. The scouts come back saying the leaders are already riding out to meet him. This wasn't a casual arrival. They were waiting for him.
And it's the A-team, right?
It's the who's who of the rebellion. Xuanrang, Elmi the strategist, Xu Maogim, Wang Bodang, of course. 7 or 8 of the top guys.
So they escort him back to the main hall?
They do. And after all the greetings, Xiongxin explains why he's late. He proudly announces that he's brought Xuansui's new wife and in-laws with him.
Except Xuansui has no idea what he's talking about.
Utterly confused. He just flat out denies it. I don't have a family you could have brought here.
Oh, this must have been an awkward moment.
You can just imagine the silence in the room as Xiongxin has to tell the entire story.
Yeah.
The stopover, the engagement, the threat from Xuan.
And
then Wang Bodang just bursts out laughing.
he's the one who knows what's really going on.
He's the one. And he delivers this perfect narrative punchline.
Okay, here it is. The big reveal.
He looks at Xiongxin and basically says, look, it's incredible that you saved Li's future bride and her family.
Yeah.
But while you were doing that, Li's was busy rescuing your wife and daughter and bringing them here to the safety of the rear camp.
Get out. Seriously.
Seriously. They performed a simultaneous, totally unplanned, reciprocal family rescue across hostile territory.
That's unbelievable. That's not just loyalty. That's a level of trust that's almost telepathic.
The source calls it setting the record straight. It's the ultimate proof that their alliance is real. It's not just talk.
If they're willing to risk everything for each other's families without even talking about it, that's an unbreakable bond.
It really is. And after that, everything happens fast. Xiongxin, stunned, rushes to the rear camp to see his family.
And Xuansui.
He scrambles to arrange proper sedan chairs and horses to go receive his new in-laws with the honor they deserve.
And Xuanrang, the leader, he sees all this and knows exactly what to do.
He orders a massive feast for 2 things. To celebrate the return of their hero, Shan.
And the wedding of Xuansui. The chaos of the road ends in the safety and celebration of the stronghold.